I really feel that everybody has hard choices in their lives, and some have a lot more than others, to be honest. All kinds of questions. How do you get a good job? How do you keep it? What happens if you lose it? How do you afford your education, particularly if you want to go to college? Whether to get married, whether to stay married. I mean, those are the kinds of hard choices that everybody grows up with. And I saw the same thing with nations and leaders. Countries have hard choices, and how they make those choices determines whether or not people are prosperous, free, have opportunity, can pursue their own dreams. And the more I thought about it, I thought really choices is at the core of what kind of people we want to be and what kind of countries we want to have. And I think that's especially true here in our own country at this moment in our history, because I do talk about some of the hard choices we face as Americans. I think Americans will find in this book, of course, behind the scenes, insight, particularly my relationship with President Obama and with the White House, but also my views about what we needed to do to restore American leadership. At the time I became secretary, there was a fairly strong current of thinking that the United States was in decline. Now, I have lived long enough to know that that periodically surfaces, and academics and commentators and others start talking about the United States declining. I didn't believe it then. I don't believe it now. But I also don't believe that our leadership is somehow endowed from birth of our country. I think that people will see that we are strong and well-equipped to restore prosperity here at home, to deal with the cancer of inequality, to give people in our country the ladders of opportunity that have always been a hallmark of the United States and the American dream. But they will recognize it doesn't happen by accident or wishing for it or engaging in ideological and rhetorical battles. It happens because people come together and make a series of choices, including some hard choices, to establish the foundation for a strong economy, a strong, united society. Because at the end of the day, we're only as strong abroad as we are at home. You have to recognize that most people everywhere in the world want the same things and have the same feelings. We may look different, we may worship different, we may have different cultural customs, but I looked at all the research I could find in taking the job as secretary, and I wasn't exactly surprised, but I was, once again reminded that people want a good job, they want a decent living for themselves and their families, they want to live in peace and security, and that the troublemakers in the world are such a small percentage of the vast population that inhabits the world as we know it today. We're freer, we're more democratic, we're more peaceful, but we also know more. So when something horrible happens, you can't escape it. It's right there in front of you. And so we are constantly looking at the crises, looking at the conflicts. But I think the world is slowly moving toward greater opportunity and greater freedom. And in the next years, you will see enormous increases in the middle classes of these countries. China, India, Brazil. They will be looking for new ways to express themselves, new freedoms in order to interact in politics and economics. That's good for America.